state your name at the DDC. What is your name?
Ali Lopez of Ecuador.
Thank you. All right, counsel. Would you pronounce the name again for me? Either defendant or counsel, please. The last name. Counsel, the last name.
For the defendants, Abu Khuder.
Abu Khuder, thank you. All right, Mr. Abu Khuder has two cases in front of me. Any objection to my calling them together?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you. All right, we have case number 240-586-9501 and case number 240-586-9601. Both people versus Ali Abu Khuder. The first case I read is a DV combined with GBH, and the second case contains charges of torture, women, unlawful imprisonment. Appearances, please, from the people.
On both cases for the people, Steve Vincent, P71917.
And good morning, Your Honor. Good morning to everybody here. Hassan Hamadi, P77565. On behalf Ali Abu Khuder, for purposes of arraignment, waive the formal reading and stand mute.
Thank you, counsel. The court notes formal reading has been waived as to both files. Enters a not guilty plea on defendant's behalf as to both files. And I will hear arguments as to bond. Mr. Vincent, you can tell me whether or not you'd like to make the arguments one at a time or at the same time.
Judge, they're going to be chronological. I guess just make them at the same time because one leads into the other. Regarding case number 9601 with the offense date of July 14th of 2024, we're going to be asking for $1 million cash bond. We're also going to be asking for tether house arrest. Regarding the case number ending in 9501 with an offense date of 7/21 of 2024, we're going to be asking for $100,000 cash, tether, house arrest. Now, Judge, regarding the incident date of the 7/14/24 with the last four numbers of the case 9601, Judge, I got to say this, in the hundreds, if not thousands of cases before this court, these set of allegations are some of the worst. Over not giving the defendant husband passcodes, the complaining witness allegedly ends up getting beat. The defendant unleashes proverbial hell against this gal. Over an 18-hour period from what I saw in the investigator's report, and from 7/14 to 7/15, the defendant literally tortured this complaining witness, who allegedly is his wife. She's 22, he's 41 years old. He struck her multiple times. He strangled her to the point of unconsciousness multiple times. He beat her with a belt repeatedly. He dragged her upstairs, having her head hit every single stair as he dragged her up those stairs. He grabbed her and he threw her. At the time of this alleged assault, she was pregnant. As a result of all of the hitting, grabbing, strangling, pushing, throwing, she started to bleed vaginal. Apparently, the defendant ended up, once he saw this, ended up telling the complaining witness that she didn't even deserve his child. Judge, 18 hours later, apparently the complaining witness somehow figured out a way to contact her mom, and the mom ended up contacting the police. The police ended up making a report. They ended up taking pictures. And defense counsel, I apologize. I didn't know you were on this case. I ended up forwarding the pictures in the file to the magistrate as well as House Defense Counsel. I can forward those to you as well if you want to give me your email address. But I thought they were part and parcel and very pertinent to this case. So with that being said, Judge, we have the report that was made. And then approximately 6 days later, in an attempt, this complaining witness trying to leave the residence, trying to leave for all intent and purposes, this defendant didn't appreciate the fact that she wanted to end this relationship. So while she's attempting to leave, he strangles her. And that's how we get the GBH and DV on the second case, Judge. She ends up going to a neighbor's house, the closest neighbor's house, and calls 911. Respectfully, Judge, this is highly assaultive. We feel this defendant is clearly a danger, at the very least, to this complaining witness, who was pregnant at the time of this assault. So respectfully, I hope we've justified our request, the $1 million for the 9601 and the 100,000 for the GBH and DV.
Right. Thank you. To defense counsel, if you'd like Mr. Vincent to forward the photographs to you, please provide an email address and he can do that, because I can tell you they are likely to be relevant to my bond determination.
Well, Your
right.
Honor, I don't think it's necessary at this point.
Okay.
But I will tell the court, I do have a little bit of background, right? Mr. Abu-Khuder was born in 1982. He has no criminal record, never had any assaultive crimes that he's been convicted of. After the alleged incident dates, the parties resided together. After both dates, my client's never been contacted by the police, never been interviewed by a detective. Defendant's an entrepreneur, has strong ties to the community. He owns an accounting department, does very well for himself. He's a long life resident of Michigan, city of Dearborn, and lives in Redford. We understand that the allegations and charges are serious, obviously. I appreciate the narrative by the prosecuting attorney, but again, these are just allegations at this point, right? So as gruesome as a case may look or may sound, that's just a narrative. I will tell you, if he was a danger to the community or this type of individual, you would see a long history of this, which he does not have. I will also tell you, which I think is very relevant, that this alleged victim signed 2 affidavits with the Detroit Police Department that I have copies of, and I'm sure the prosecuting attorney has copies of, where she did not wish to proceed on this case, that was signed on August 4th. They did not charge my client till yesterday. So as the narrative sounds very gruesome and disturbing, even to me, I didn't read the police report. I don't know exactly what's going on per se, but what I will tell the court is that is telling of an alleged victim who signs an affidavit to the Detroit Police Department who's not going to be cooperative in this case. So I disagree with $1 million bond, as it should be reasonable. I don't think keeping him away from her is a difficulty by putting a GPS tether. He does not need to have $1 million bond in order to do that. If it's for the safety of this alleged victim, then we can make that happen. We've had CSC first degree cases that weren't $1 million cash bonds. I've had assault with the intent to murder cases that were not $1 million bond. So I would ask the court that the bond is, even if the court wanted some cash bond to make sure he's hired counsel, he's ready to proceed with this case and is going to fight this case. And I will tell the court, I think 100,000, 10% bond with a GPS tether is fine. He can live with his mother, because I believe the alleged victim still resides at his home in the city of Redford. So unless she's going to move out, which I don't believe she is, he can move in with his mother and stay very far away from her pending this case.
Anything further? Right. Certainly there is a narrative in an investigator's report, as there always is. But here I have also been provided photographs of numerous injuries and bruises to this complainant that it would seem would have been difficult for her to inflict upon herself, given the number of bruises, lacerations, etc., to her body depicted in those photographs. Mr. Vincent, are you in possession of affidavits from the complainant stating that she was not intending to cooperate in this case?
I am not. And I take, I'll take defense counsel at his word, but I don't have any affidavits. I do have notes from the APA speaking to the fact that this individual is in fear of her life. I'm sure that will come out if there's something. In terms of being a victim, I think you can look at a lot of the things defense counsel said 2 different ways. I do appreciate his argument, but I can also appreciate the fact that this gal is scared. And at the time right now, if, you know, if these things did appear to happen, which they appear to have happened, I think she's very vulnerable right now. Her mom's involved in this. And I think they right now are wishing to proceed as based on the APA notes. But I guess we're just going to let this play out and see what happens.
So, Your Honor, just to, if I could, one last word, I do have both documents, interoffice memorandum by the police department, signed by the alleged victim, as well as the officer in charge, Detective Randolph, 8/2/2024, both documents for both case numbers. I will also tell the court, if the prosecutor had called the victim, which I don't think Mr. Vincent did, that she would have said, I don't want to proceed in the case. I also got a call from another attorney who said she was trying to hire that attorney because she didn't want to proceed. So I will tell the court, I'm not trying to minimize these allegations. What I'm telling the court is I don't believe that $1 million bond is reasonable based on what we've provided.
Well, right. I mean, you're speaking to the likelihood of conviction, right? No matter how
Right.
gruesome or whatever, as you said, the allegations may be, you know, part of this is likelihood of conviction. Part of what I think about, especially in cases of alleging domestic violence, though, is a bond that makes the complainant sure that they're able to participate in the prosecution of the case if they wish to do so. So balancing everything that I've heard here on the case alleging torture, women, unlawful imprisonment, bond is set at $300,000 cash surety. If he's able to make that bond, he will be fitted with a GPS tether before leaving the jail, that tether requiring full home confinement at an address other than which this is said to have occurred. I understand your argument, counsel, that this is, you feel like it's his home, but at this point, he's not going to be able to return back there. He can take that up on his next court date. As to the other file alleging DV and GBH, bond is set in this case at $50,000 cash surety. Again, GPS, home confinement tether, not to return to that address. All right. Next court dates are going to be Monday. Let's see, that takes us, thank you. Monday, August the 12th for bond review in Judge McConaughey's courtroom. After that, probable cause conference is set for August the 15th. Preliminary examination is set for August the 21st, both in front of Judge King. There is to be no contact or attempted contact with the complainant. That means no verbal contact, no written contact, no contact through third parties or social media. Any attempted contact will be considered a violation of the conditions of the bond. And Mr. Abukud is not to purchase or possess any firearms or other dangerous weapons during the course of his bond. All right, thank you. Those latter two court dates are in front of Judge King. First one in McConaughey's courtroom, likely Judge Williams.
You said that was August 12th?
August 12th for bond review, yes.
Thank you.